Hi, everyone. Welcome to the AI Careers, Pathways and Possibilities webinar today. I'm Christina Chen, CEO of First AI Talent here. I'm really glad to have you all joining. I'm just letting more attendees coming in here. The goal of today's session is simple, to show you that AI is for everyone. There's this myth out there that you need to come from a certain degree, certain background, a PhD, prior experience to work in AI, but that's simply not true. We want to break down those barriers and misconceptions and to inspire you all into this amazing field, whether you're just starting out or looking to transition from a different role. It's great to see all of you coming in here. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for having us. I'm really excited to talk today.
Great. Before we kick things off, let me just tell you, everyone, introduce ourselves, introduce First AI Talent, where I come from, and make sure that people are not waiting in the lobby in the meantime. Okay. So First AI, we are the UK's first AI graduate program dedicated to launching the next generation of AI professionals. We are your first step to break into an AI career. Specifically, you get hired here to become AI adoption managers, which is a super exciting and rapidly growing profession. You go and help businesses like many on this panel today to adopt AI technology and get the most out of these tools in their everyday work. We're the #1 AI adoption company, so we get very passionate about this topic, making AI accessible for everyone and every organization. So we equipped you with the best-in-class training, the best project experiences, not only technical skills, but also commercial and people skills. Especially, we look for people who have a knack in sort of empathy, problem-solving, drive. So together, we can become the human face of AI, right? Where it's not just about technology, it's the people behind it. That's how we can truly help others use AI and not fear AI, like what we see every day in the news, and really then help businesses truly transform. Coming back to today's topic, as a woman in AI myself, a woman of color, and also a first-generation immigrant in this country, I know firsthand what it feels like to not see people like yourself in these spaces. So I'm passionate, and everyone here at First AI and everyone on the panel today are really passionate about making sure that you don't get left behind in this revolution. And I want you to see that you have a place here too. Today on the panel, we're in for a treat. We've got some amazing leaders who are going to share their own journeys into AI, talk about their challenges, their stories, and offer advice on breaking into this field. And I encourage all of you to drop questions in the chat as we go. We'll pick them up during the conversations and make it interactive. So without further ado, let's meet our panelists. First up is Eve Oliver. Eve leads product marketing at Computer Services Group and an expert in IT, cyber, and increasingly AI. Lucy Benz here, head of IT digital and data at SSE, driving digital transformation and AI strategies. Rebecca Hammond, designing customer solutions at BT. And Rebecca is also a thought leader and technical author for many years in this field. So thank you everyone for joining us. To kick things off, can I ask every one of you to tell us about where you got started and how you got to AI? What's your story? Who wants to go first?
I'll beat the bullet and go first, no problem. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. So I just want to quickly explain that I started at Swansea Uni for a research project. So I was hired to help fund a Higher Education Funding Council for Wales project, which was helping SMEs in Wales become more resilient in their cyber approach and strategies. So that support for small businesses really drove my passion for a career in AI, because I started to realise that there are so many small organisations in Wales and England and the world who just don't have the tools, the knowledge, or the people to protect themselves online. So that passion from helping SMEs is how I began my career.
Great, thanks for the introduction.
I can go next. Yeah, so I am originally from Australia. Went to university there, a bit of an all-rounder at school, and I couldn't pick a field basically. So I did what they called in Australia a double degree. So I came out with a science degree in mathematics and an arts degree majoring in English. So from there, I still had no idea what I wanted to do after 5 years at university. And I just stumbled across this ad in the paper, a job ad that was asking for someone who had very good writing skills, technical ability, and was able to draw diagrams. And for a Saturday job during university, I'd worked in a drafting office, drawing stadiums and service stations and things like that. So I managed to tick every single one of their boxes, and that's how I became a technical author. So I'm probably the longest career out of all of you, but I was a technical author up until very recently. So for about 20 years, I was doing that job, which was basically going in and transforming documentation for large projects. So organizing their documentation, helping write them documentations, automating systems, templates, basically working really closely with Microsoft products. So this was all up until about a year ago. And then a colleague, a manager in my business, approached me and said, I'd really like you to become a Microsoft Viva consultant. And I was like, okay, I can do my job inside out. I could do it backwards with my eyes closed because I've been doing it for 20 years, but let's go out on a limb and try and do some consultancy. So basically we were going into customers, analyzing their business and how we could use Microsoft Viva to help them. And then suddenly Microsoft went, well, we don't really want to focus on Viva anymore. We want to focus on Copilot, and everything was AI, Copilot, but that was it. So we were like, okay, let's swap to Copilot. So very, very quickly, I moved off concentrating on Viva onto Copilot. So I've pivoted quite recently into the AI space. So I've probably been doing it for about a year now. So yeah, that's how I ended up where I am.
That's fascinating, Rebecca. I didn't know drawing diagrams was a box you had to tick to start your career. Interesting. And so just piggyback on that. So when did you first get in touch with, get to know Copilot and started using it and working on it?
Yeah, so it was about a year ago. So when we first started doing Microsoft Viva, I started using ChatGPT, and our team were using that to analyze basically customer data and help come up with algorithms that would analyze where we would go into their company and we would best use these products. There was quite a large set of products, so we were helping them decide how to adopt them, how to do the rollouts, things like that. So I'd already started using ChatGPT, and then Copilot came along, and it just fits so naturally into every Microsoft product that I was an expert in already. It's just kind of adding that on, and it fit really nicely. And I was really excited about it. I couldn't wait to get my teeth stuck into it and start learning everything that I could about it. So yeah.
Very interesting, Rebecca. And what about you, Lucy? I know you also recently changed roles. You're on mute, Lucy.
Must be working in digital and I can't click the mute button. So yeah, like you mentioned, I'm head of digital and data for SSE. I only joined about 4 months ago. But let me give you a bit of a background into how a whirlwind tour into how I got there. So I am from a place called Sligo, which is the northwest of Ireland. Have always been interested in IT in general. But in, I guess, the 90s, there wasn't a huge amount of support or schooling in IT back at the time. So I knew I wanted to go in and just study computer science. I didn't know what I wanted from it, but I did that in Dublin City University. And finishing my degree, a bit like what Rebecca mentioned, is like, what do I want to do now? And generically, I kind of knew, right, I want IT and I want to travel. That were kind of the only two things that I knew. I did get offered, though, a graduate position with JP Morgan Chase in Glasgow. So that was super exciting. I was like, right, sure, I'll take that and see where it takes me. So that was it was in the European Technology Centre. So it was software development. I knew pretty quickly software development was not for me. And I guess, but there's a lot of roles within the IT industry. And the one that I went into then was business analysis. And what that is, it's like you're the conduit between the technical developers and then the business, the front end users, and you're kind of teaching kind of both languages, tech to business. And that was super. Really, really enjoyed that because you're staying close to the developers without having to get involved in the development, but appreciating the technical analysis. So I stayed then in Scotland for a number of years and knew I wanted more. Didn't quite know what I wanted, but I moved to London. And I got into project management and program management. And at the time, Agile was coming in and started transforming teams from waterfall to this, Agile way of working. And all of a sudden, it started going quite quickly into that middle management space. And I was like, oh, I need to get back to kind of back to basics, back to the technical side. So that can happen. And I went back to kind of the business analysis core contributor skills as a contractor. And I was great getting back to kind of the technical aspects again and understanding what's out there and the new technologies. And then I was getting a bit of itchy. I was like, oh, I want to do something else. Do I want to go back to leadership? Do I want to go back and follow a technical career path? And I didn't know. So again, I did what most people wouldn't do, I think, and I quit my job. And I was like, look, what's the worst that can happen? I'll find another job. But I really wanted to go traveling. I was like, now's a good time to go traveling. So left London and we went to, at this point, I'm married. I have picked up my husband in Glasgow and we kind of started the journey together. But we went traveling in South America, Asia, South Africa, and ended up in Hong Kong, where I contacted where I was working back in London, HSBC, and they're like, yeah, sure, we'll have a job for you here in Hong Kong. So I was like, super, this is a new start. I make it sound easy, but at the time, it was quite stressful. But it was like, again, what's the worst that can happen if I don't get a job? So different, so vibrant, the technologies and the solutions that we're trying to find is very different to this side of the world. It was so interesting. And I went back into keeping in a technical space, digital and data. At this time, all of the systems are about 20, 30 years. So we're starting to replace, thinking of new solutions, from legacy applications to new modern infrastructure. And that was really what I was doing, taking my technical aspect, but back into a leadership space. Really, really interesting. AI then started coming into it because, and again, I wouldn't put AI as like a separate pillar. Do I do AI or IT? It's integrated into what we're doing. So thinking about solutions, previously, when, the traditional AI is very big in banking, but now coming into generative AI, acting like humans, coming up with new proposals and new information. So I spent about 8 years in Hong Kong and then realized, something needs to change again. I didn't quit my job, you'll be glad to hear. But I went with HSBC back to Ireland, where I took on more of a business-facing product manager role. And I did that for about a year and I realized, I need to go back to IT. I need to bring it back to kind of where nearly I belong and get back into the technical analysis of it all. And I didn't quit my job, but I took a new position with SSE, where I am now. And again, it's integrating AI into what we're doing. It's constantly thinking about our solutions. So many challenges along the way, of course, with that. But like Rebecca just mentioned, now having Microsoft Copilot is such a godsend, because it's using our own data set internally, because trying to use ChatGPT, obviously, you cannot put in company information there. So it limits how much you can use it, but Copilot kind of gives you that safe zone. And so much can come from this. So it's a very exciting time. Whirlwind tour of kind of where I got to, but yeah, it's generally the feeling of what's the worst that can happen here is kind of goodbye and on to the next where I am today.
Yeah. Wow, what a journey, Lucy, both in terms of career and also in terms of traveling, right? Around the globe once, almost. Thank you for sharing that, Lucy. I picked up something you just said there, very interesting. AI is just part of a lot of what we're doing in tech already, in IT already. I know, Eve, when we spoke earlier, you were mentioning about the different solutions and sort of fields that you've been in anyway, coming to, culminating to where you are today. So can you tell us about, how you see AI fits into everything you do at CSG?
Definitely. So yeah,
and as you see,
so
one of the biggest aspects of the energy.
Oh,
sorry,
hello, Lucy.
Yeah, so thank you guys. So yeah, AI, obviously, when I speak to the SMEs that we work with in any industry, I think they think, well, I don't need AI in my industry because I'm still talking to customers face to face. They're coming to my shop or anything. But I think people are forgetting that you can use AI for literally any process these days, and it's fun to explore it and to find new ways. A lot of people I speak to, I think, are scared of AI tools because they think, oh, they're going to take over and they're going to control everything. But working with Microsoft is amazing because they just emphasize that it's your co-pilot, not the running pilot that's going to just manage everything. And I think the most challenging part is showcasing how to use it alongside your day-to-day and not diminish your own talents, because when people use AIs in day-to-day work, they might think, oh, well, I'm starting to get lazy, or I'm starting to not showcase my own personal talents that I've spent years to work on. What I love about Copilot and AI tools, they allow you to use your personal talents and not diminish your hard work. I hate that phrase when they say robots are taking over everyone's jobs, because they can't take over the jobs when it's a tool, not the actual source of the whole work.
Yeah. Well, it's co-pilot, not autopilot for a reason, right? So that's a really good point, Eve, because a lot of media is talking about AI coming to take our jobs, take our lives, and this planet, etc. Okay, so actually, it also goes on to talk about. It's great to hear show what you do on a daily basis. Just for everyone here listening in, what do you do? We talk about AI, different career paths. Does any of you want to share? What's your day-to-day responsibilities?
Completely. So I'm in communications. So obviously communicating with clients, prospects, and just general stakeholders within cybersecurity and IT is a very important aspect. And I think sometimes you think at the end of the day, oh, I'm a bit tired now to talk and communicate and send emails. So having a system in work that actually helps you basically say what you want to say, even when you're feeling tired. I've used Copilot to write my paragraph. Oh, this is what I want to get out of my email. This is the content and the information I want to get across. But I'm just too tired today to fluff it up and word it and make it sound engaging. So all of the content there is from myself, but AI is that little extra tool then that just makes it prioritize and put all the points I want at the top, or word it in a formal way because maybe I'm feeling a bit informal at the moment. And that's what I really love about the tool.
Yeah, no, that's perfect use case because it's very good at anything text related, right? And that's communication is a big one. What about Rebecca or Lucy? What do you do on a daily basis?
So yeah, really similar to Eve actually. I use it for absolutely everything. And because I've moved into a role that wasn't customer facing to customer facing, I'm writing a lot of, scope of works and proof of concept documents and cost models and all these documents I've never written before. And it's so easy, just go to, ChatGPT or Copilot and say, how do you write this document? And it literally lists step by step, here are all the things you need to include in your document. And it's just saving me hours. It's saving other people's times because I would be bugging people nonstop to ask them how to do it if it wasn't for this as well. So I'm saving other people time as well as my own time. But I think what I would say is to find examples of prompts and ideas about how to use it, because that will give you ideas about how to use it. It's one of those things that you don't know what it does until you know what it does. So the more you can find out things that are possible, the more ideas and creativity you can use to get the most out of it. It can be quite complex in what you can get out of it, or really simple. I mean, I've often used it for writing birthday card messages as well, but it's both ends of the scales. But it literally, I don't know what I would do without it now because it is so integral to everything that I do. And Copilot especially, I love that it's integrated so well into the programs we're already using. So it doesn't feel like a massive uplift because it's just in the application that you were using anyway. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised still. Sometimes as well, the reasoning of the AI now has become really much more advanced compared to even just a few months ago or beginning of this year. So I sometimes get really surprised at just how clever the answer comes back when you throw a pretty complex question or a prompt at it. What about you, Lucy? Because you do a lot of cross-functional work as well. What's your day-to-day like?
Yep. So I guess from a personal angle, and then there's from an industry angle and how we can help our customers. So personally, it is brilliant for organizing my week, for giving me a summary in how I've been doing in the week and summarizing my most important meetings. Again, like Rebecca mentioned, it's all about the prompts. I'm still learning when it comes to prompts and trying to improve them all the time. And I think education on that would be brilliant, so everyone can get this benefit out of that. So also when it comes to, sometimes I'm given a huge amount of documents that I need to review. The first best step might be to summarize them for me. I'm also thinking from a industry and a customer point of view. AI and Copilot will be quite critical to help us get to net zero, and it's using our data in an informative way that can help us and help you drive your energy down. So it'll be really exciting to see how we can make use of AI going forward in that respect.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the net zero because I feel like businesses' objectives these days are all focused on achieving net zero and finding different pathways to contribute to helping the environment. And I think it's so fascinating that Microsoft have got their own section on purely on how businesses can strategize and use AI tools to help achieve net zero and contribute. So I'm really glad you brought that up.
Yeah, and not just businesses. I guess it'd be great for customers and the everyday person to have the data to think about our own usage. And I think that's what's going to help everyone going forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Well, actually, this brings up a pretty controversial topic, and actually, we had a question come in. It talks about net zero or the environmental impacts of just AI itself, right? And there's a lot of talk about, how it's consuming a lot of computational power, therefore energy. How do you guys see this this topic?
Yeah, I'll
sorry,
go first.
went delay there. Go from back.
Yeah, it's definitely a concern, and I think we're just on the tip of this as well. I think some of the computational the masses that it's going to take is only going to increase, and I know that I know several companies that are already just building. They can't build the data centers fast enough to keep up with the processing power. So there's definitely things that we need to do and we need to address with these issues. I think the best thing at the moment is to keep talking about it, not to put our head in the sands, but keep trying to come up with ideas about how we deal with this. Because I think it's the same as the internet revolution. AI is not going anywhere. So we can't just say, okay, well, I'm not going to use it. And I know people who do that because they object to it. But I don't think in the long run that's going to help. It's not going anywhere. I'm hoping that ChatGPT, generative AI, will come up with ideas itself to help solve some of these questions. But at the moment, yeah, it is a real concern. And although I don't have the answers myself, I think we just have to keep talking about it, keep bringing it up to our businesses, keep bringing it up in our teams, and trying to come up with ideas to combat it and to maybe offset it as well.
Definitely. I think as well, the real solutions for solving climate and helping achieve businesses net zero is the people and the knowledge from people. So Copilot and AI tools just help me personally reduce my time that I have to spend on this, so I can actually spend more time using my brain and my abilities to help contribute to solving these issues. And I find that so fascinating that so many smart people and knowledgeable people will have to just waste this much time responding to emails. Now they're wasting this much time responding to emails. And I love that approach.
Great. Well,
Yeah, you're
today.
dead right, Eve, because
No, go ahead, Lucy. Sorry, there's a bit of a lag.
Just to touch on Eve's point, you're dead right. Being carbon neutral, it's like, well, thinking about you're going to spend less time in front of the PC because it's done it for you. And, you can go for a walk or use your brain and do some more thinking time. So absolutely.
Yeah. There's also this Moore's law, right? This classic Moore's law in technology, and we hope that this applies here in AI. If many years ago, computer was as big as a room, right? And you'd be very, very simple computation would take the entire room worth of computer to compute and have punch cards, etc. We'd like to think that now everything fits into your pocket, and chips into your AI chips into your laptop and all that. So hopefully, I'm positive, I'm optimistic that we all come up with, the humans here come up with a creative solution to combat that. But you're all right, we can't ignore it. We all need to put our clever thinking hats on how to solve this, because it's not going to go away. So a lot of the audience here today are graduates or people thinking about getting into AI. So just wondering if there are any sort of practical tips or advice you guys or ladies, can provide on how to break into the industry. Just like you guys made it sound very easy, right? I just glided into amazing careers here, but I'm sure there's many challenges along the way. So any advice you can give?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I've done it quite recently, so it's all still fresh, everything I did. I don't have a computer science background. I don't have a coding background. So I've basically come into this industry with a love of learning. And I think that's the number one thing you need to have in this industry, because it is so fast paced. It's really exciting because it's so fast paced. There's so much innovations every single day. And I think it's just trying to keep up with that. I did a lot of YouTube videos, everything I could watch on the topic, from really basic introductions to more complex. I never spent a cent on any training. There is so many webinars out there. Things like this are just happening daily. I get newsletters into my inbox. So ones that are specifically talk about all the things that are happening in AI. Example prompts I get into my inbox every day. Connecting with people on LinkedIn, people will share articles, they will share courses, webinars. And another thing, don't be afraid to reach out to people on LinkedIn as well. I think we all think there's these, amazing people doing all these amazing high-flying things, but I've found that people are really happy to help and answer questions. So if you see someone you admire on LinkedIn, reach out, ask them, what would they advise to getting into this industry? And don't forget to ask ChatGPT as well, because it will also give you training courses, it will give you articles, it will direct you to exactly where you need to go. So that's just a few tips.
Yeah, you can literally give it a prompt saying, build me a learning plan. I can only spend, half an hour every evening. What's my plan from now till Christmas, right? So that's or during Christmas, if you're watching, you want to be watching YouTube videos, etc. Yeah, that's some great tips, Rebecca. Anything else you want to add?
Thinking. No, I think that's probably it. I think it's just a willingness to want to continue learning, really. I think that's what it is. Just having a passion to just keep on honing your skills and pivot when the industry changes, because it will change again as well. So I jumped really quickly from Viva to Copilot. I jumped really quickly from just doing straight documentation to doing automation with Power Apps and Power Automate. So I think it's just trying to keep up with those innovations and just always be opening to learning more from the people around you.
Yeah. Stay foolish, stay hungry, isn't it? That's the quote. What about any advice from Lucy, from Eve, or others?
I think choosing a speciality would be one of my advice, because I think everything can be so broad when you think of tech, or you think of an IT career or an AI career. But if you chose what you're passionate about, I always use this as an example because I've always been quite passionate about reusing furniture and living sustainable. So if I was to restart out, I think I would look at how are they using AI to help reduce carbon footprint and carbon emissions, and choose what you're passionate about. If you're passionate about maybe talking to people, like we said, become the consultant, become an AI consultant, where you talk to business leaders and you go in there and speak to them in person and help advisory. I think there are so many ways now, opportunities, and long gone are the days where you're sat in an office not talking to anyone, sat behind a computer just because you work in tech. It's about getting out there and meeting people, and that's what I find really exciting.
Yeah, that's so true. I was gonna say there's a lot of misconceptions out there, and that's one of them. What you just pictured very vividly. Thank you. And Lucy, anything to add?
Yeah, I guess complementing what Rebecca and Eve have just said, it's try and find a niche that you want to go into, but also do the learnings, be inquisitive, find the people on LinkedIn, do not be afraid to reach out and go with your gut feel. It's very easy to listen to other people's advice, and I promise if I had listened to other people's advice all along the way, I would never have left the country, I would never have changed jobs, and I certainly would not be where I got to today. So go by your gut feel and just take the plunge. And again, what's the worst that can happen? Have your kind of backup plan, but like move forward. Taking a risk is how you move on. So yeah, don't be afraid.
Yeah. Well, we actually had a question here talking about taking risks, etc. So when you first got to know the field, whether it was, the company said, well, we have this new project or this new field you could pivot into, or you picked it up on the news. How did you decide, or sort of what was the memory, or what did you decide? Oh, that's something I want to either dedicate, I know some of you specialize in that now, or make sure that part of what I do incorporate that as well?
Sorry, I'm just trying to understand the question.
On the question.
Yeah. Do you remember the first memories of, people telling you about whether that's Copilot or AI? And how did you decide, oh, this is something, how did you discover this is something you want to be part of?
Yeah, I think for me, it was just so exciting. It just started being the buzzword. And when I started just playing around with it myself, I just found that I really love doing it. I love what you could get out of it. I love how it could help you. My job up to this point was helping others make their lives easier. So I would take something that almost everyone hates, which is documentation, which I actually happen to love, and I would organize it and make it easier for them. So now what I do is I go and train people on things like Power Automate and Copilot and things that will make their job easier, things that will streamline their processes, things that will cut out time in their days. And I love that about it. I love how instantaneous it is as well. It's not something that you do now and in a year's time you make some savings. You can literally make savings overnight. And if you teach someone how to get the most out of generative AI, then they're going to be able to make the savings in their industries, and they're going to be able to revolutionize their industries. So I think for me, I love the training aspect of it as well. I love teaching others how to get the most out of this so that they can change the world, basically. I'm not going to change the world, but there's plenty of people out there who will definitely change the world. We just need to give them the tools that are going to help them get there.
You are changing the world, Rebecca. One
Yeah,
day at a time, one person at a time.
One training course at a time, yeah.
Yes, exactly. And I think one of the most interesting things is we've always seen AI in front of us, but maybe not realized it. So, for example, when you log onto a website and there's a little assistant pops up, hi, can I help you? Now, a number of years ago, when you get that pop up, it was really frustrating because they won't help you. And you just have to bypass the bot to get chatting to a real agent that can actually help you. And what I've really noticed, probably in the last 12 to 18 months, is now that's changing drastically. Because when I do get the bot, I'm less thinking I need to get past this to the agent. I'm like, most of the time now I'll get the right answer. So I'm okay with the assistive chatbot, however you want to call it, popping up, because they are more helpful now using large language models, and they're more complex and they have bigger data sets, and generally now actually useful. So I think that has been a massive jump recently that as consumers we're seeing when we interact with websites.
Yeah, so true. We have been using AI knowingly or unknowingly, especially on consumer. I think on the consumer front, we are more ahead of business to some extent, B2B, leveraging AI. We've been, used to the recommendations, the feed, the next video that always comes for a while now. So yeah, no, that's very true.
I think as well, it's so important for a lot of people who didn't grow up maybe in the tech era and are not as just quick on the laptops and things like that. When we work with our jewelry dealers, or we have some clients who have only just really gone from writing down notes in pen and paper, and a lot of people still do prefer to do that. So I think there was just a very increase on people just, how do we approach this without just forcing it upon people who aren't that tech illiterate, and like easing it in a nice way. And when I speak to people, I think it's really nice how the AI tools are just adding on to what you're already doing in your day to day, not taking over the entire thing. If you still want to write it down in your notebook, then obviously people are still doing that, but then you can use tools in a different way. So I think it's important to not assume that everyone's now just going to use AI for everything we do, because there's still people who are going to just use it as an added tool rather than everything.
Yeah, it's your assistant, isn't it? Yeah. Totally true. And just also echoing some of our personal experience, just a few weeks ago, we were talking with a law firm, and the CTO of a law firm said to me, Christina, I didn't know, well, until recently, I, as the CTO of a law firm, didn't need to worry about AI. It wasn't a field, I'm not CTO of Google, etc. I didn't need to really worry about that. But it's now touching fields that we're not traditionally thinking about that needs to be particularly technically advanced. But now it's how you use AI or technology in general into the everyday use, right? Rather than the very fancy models and large language models and all that we're talking about. And that's one of the messages we want to give here as well, is there's so many different ways of working in this field. It's not just about being a machine learning engineer, programming. That's fascinating, honestly, real fascinating. And we have some amazing people, I think, even in this audience here who have, the other day I was talking to someone who applied who's, master thesis was using quantum computing to do something about the black hole. I didn't fully understand. So there are fascinating things like that, but there's also a whole world out there of, helping businesses, helping everyday employees to take advantage of what's out there, what these amazing engineers have built already. And it's also the challenges around how do you get people comfortable and how do you get people knowledgeable when they're so busy already. We all have more than a full-time job. We all have information overload. We all have email overload, meeting overload, and all of that. And you just don't have, a lot of people don't have yet enough time to watch a lot of tutorials, etc., and they just get stuck back into their daily routines. How do you work with colleagues or help with colleagues like that, where they could better leverage this, but again, no time?
This is a major concern. We face it with internal Copilot rollouts and also in our customers. It's everyone is really time poor and trying to get them. We've discovered we send out a bite-sized email and people just wouldn't read it. It's what we found works best is having drop-in sessions. So people are more willing to want to pop in, speak to a real person. I need it for exactly this purpose. Can you give me the answer right now? I think as well, if you can show someone how it's going to benefit them exactly, not some wide use case, but very specific use case to them, then something's going to twig in them and they're going to think, actually, this is going to save me time. It's not just another program to learn that, it's not going to really help me, or it's going to take me too long. But if you can show them, say, summarizing a 50-page document in 5 seconds, if you can show them the benefit that will work for them, they will come to want to learn. And I think you need to get them to the point where they know if they just put in a little bit of effort that they will get masses of benefits out. But we do struggle getting over that first hurdle of convincing them that it will help them. So yeah, it definitely is a challenge, but that's what we've found at the minute that helps more than anything is face-to-face drop-in type training.
It's that humanness in front of the technology, right? And also kind of in the flow of work is, I need it right now. So I'm about to go into a meeting. You told me I can do something clever with AI, preparing for the meeting. Okay, show me how you do that. And then once, oh, right, okay, I can do that every time now going back, rather than sitting in a training session, going through the entire tool. These are the buttons to press. That's so true. Yeah, we see that as well. Any others you guys see? Lucy and Neve?
I think it's exactly as Rebecca mentioned, they need to see the value and know more than anything in life, what's in it for me? Why would I spend time figuring this out when I don't know what the outcome is? And I think, and it's really about, value-driven results. It's not just with AI, it's everything that we're doing. It's benefit first. And when they see what's in it for them, then it nearly feels like it should be a no-brainer to use these solutions. But I don't think we're there yet in kind of starting with the value and the benefits. Hopefully that's all about to change.
Yeah, why do you think so? Why do you think people, what's the missing piece that prevented people from clicking?
Traditionally, we've just been so focused on solutions. Use this, do that. And that kind of gets your back up. It's like, well, no, I'm pretty happy, taking 4 hours and reading this document in detail. And, someone just says, no, use this and do it much faster. It doesn't give you enough to change your process, and people have to want to change their habits. And to do that, they have to see the value and the benefits. And like I say, it's sitting down with them, letting them try it.
Definitely. I often find that when we're talking about it, it can be quite generalized, can't it? And if I'm in the legal sector, I don't really care how it's impacting charities or how it's impacting the environment. I want to know how it's impacting the legal sector. So I think being able to offer bite-sized information and strategies that are personalized to your end user and the person you're trying to reach is a great way of breaking down the barriers of how to get people from all types of different industries into that one and into using AI tools. Because a lot of the time when I search something regarding how can I use this tool, it's not gonna really talk about the sector that I'm in. So customers who talk to a CSG, and when we talk to them, we use sector support and sector experiences, and I think that makes that little bit of a difference when you're talking about the challenges.
Yeah.
And just bringing it back to generative AI again, when we talk to customers, I will go and research it on generative AI and give me some really complex prompts that this particular person in this role, in this sector, can use that will benefit their job. And it will come up with the prompts. It will come up with the scenarios and the use cases that I can then take them, because I don't know the industry. Sometimes you can take the time to, spend a good few hours with them to try and understand it, but some people don't have that time to give you. So if you can come to them with the research that's done very quickly with generative AI and come up with some scenarios that you can say, okay, you could use it here when you're working with this person, or you can use it in this scenario. So yeah, just coming back, I must sound like a broken record, but I use generative AI for literally everything, preparing for every meeting, for every customer interaction, for every document I need to write. I just think, well, how would generative AI help me here? What can you suggest? And whenever I put a prompt in as well, I also ask ChatGPT to ask me questions back. So ask it to ask you questions that will help refine its answer. And it will ask you some really pertinent questions that you might not have thought about that will then improve the output that it's going to give you. So yeah, I love it.
That's so interesting. We talk about personalized prompts a lot. So our adoption managers will actually sit down with whoever they're or the team they're taking care of and help them write personalized prompts, because what you do every day, Rebecca, is very different from me, from Lucy, from Eve, etc. And then you can use things like apps like Prompt Buddy and others to save all your prompts. You can even share among the team, right? So if a team of you are doing similar, it's from a similar team, we actually set this all up so you can share, and people can rate who most commonly used and good ones. Just get really good ideas. Even this morning I was using fun fact, I did use AI to prep for this as well, and it was really interesting because when I opened up my Copilot this morning, and I knew this was on my calendar, right? So one of the suggestions was help me prepare / whatever meeting that was, and I put this one in, and then had all the prompts afterwards saying, okay, what questions, what's the opening remarks, and etc. How to keep it engaging. So that's That's just another use case for people out there. And I know that yesterday even we had an interview, a candidate coming through who used Copilot, the free version. By the way, a lot of these are free. You don't have to, ChatGPT, Gemini, etc., to prepare for their interviews. And that extra effort, it just went over and above 99% of people who show up on that day, right? So these are some of the tips that you can integrate into your work and your personal life.
There's a really cool tool which is Get My First Job, supported by Microsoft. I think they partnered with them for it, and it's basically like support on how you can use Copilot to get yourselves in front of those people and how to prepare for interviews and stuff, which I think is really exciting. How now we can talk to a machine about how to prepare for an interview as well as you asking your friends and your family, because some people don't want to bother their friends and family all the time with like, how do I sound now? Is this okay? Am I smiling enough and stuff like that? So now we can go to these tools and prepare for our job interviews. And I also think it's cool that they're using the latest information. So things are changing in technology every second of the day, but Copilot will use the news updates and whatever's happening on in the world to offer the support and the relevant content to that. So you don't have to spend time worrying about fact checking it as much because Copilot is already doing that for you, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, and Copilot again, I touched on it earlier, is again thinking about uploading your CV and give me some tips and how can I prepare for this job interview. And people need to be aware of the risks of doing something like that with ChatGPT because data is a superpower. It can be very dangerous and it can be very useful. And understanding the difference in uploading your CV and say ChatGPT, which is basically God knows where it's going to go out and anyone can have access essentially to Copilot, which should be a relatively safer environment, within your industry. So it's also the learning and education on data protection and understanding that as well is a big part of AI.
Yeah.
That's just made me think of something as well, because when you're going into a job interview and you're talking with employers within that sector, researching maybe what the unique boundaries and the unique challenges are with AI in that tool, in that sector, might be a really nice way to put you above other people then. If you're wanting to start your career in IT, I know I mentioned it earlier, but really choosing a segmented pathway and segmented area. How is AI helping charities? How is AI driving government aim of reducing carbon emission, etc.? I think it's a really fun way to utilize these tools into your passion and expertise, because no one wants to hear someone babble on about something they don't care about, in my opinion. You have to be passionate about it. And if you're just using Copilot to produce something, people will be able to tell that you're not passionate about it. People will be able to know that it's coming from something that there's got no substance there. So I think really focusing on your chosen area is just the best way to start out your career in AI.
I can see that. I can feel the passion flow into my screen, Eve. Thanks for sharing that. It's also, I actually, this just had a light bulb moment in me because we had a lot of people applying, and it speaks to the next generation on a daily basis. Speaks to universities and who are wanting to help, especially non-STEM or different sort of background people come into technology or AI or whatnot. Actually using that a lot of barrier was, I just don't know what they're looking for. What am I going to do? How do I prepare for interviews? What questions they're going to ask? I come from first generation university. I'm a first generation university graduate, and we get a lot of those. My parents are not going to help me. Who do I ask? I don't, necessarily go to the university and, the computer science degree. My friends are not in that circle as well, but I'm interested how, but these are all tools now at our fingertips that wasn't available to us, as the older generations. I can speak for myself. So make good use of that. Okay, so I have the reminder here. We're wrapping up. Any final words, word or tip for the audience here in terms of getting into AI?
Yep, for me, it's be yourself, have passion, and don't be afraid. Make the move.
Yeah, I'd say just keep learning. Just keep investigating, being curious, just keep learning. Yeah.
For me, it's putting your personal approach and using something that you feel passionate about to really deliver the career that you're starting, because you can tell the difference between someone who is really feeling passion for their job than someone who's just there, just going on robot mobile. Excuse the pun, because we're talking about AI. But yeah, it's just on robot. So just find something that you will want to wake up for and go to sleep and still feel passionate about it.
Yeah. Well, thank you all for joining us today. I hope you've all taken away, we at the beginning assessed how that we want everyone to feel like, AI is a very accessible area, is a very exciting field, is for everyone. I hope you found some inspiration, you found some practical advice. And a special thank you to all our panelists, Lucy, Rebecca, Eve, and everyone listening here. I encourage you all to take those insights, take those advice, share today, apply to your own career journeys, share with other like-minded peers who may be thinking about getting into this field. And remember, the field of AI is vast, it's full of opportunities, and you have your unique skills, your unique angles, your unique talent that you can bring in here. If you want to learn more about how to get into the AI program that we will run, you can find a link in the chat. And I hope to see many of you at future events and becoming colleagues and peers with you all. Have a great day and have a great weekend, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.